Tamara here, nice of you to join me, and a very warm welcome to my channel. It's lovely to have you here with me today. Now in today's video I have got a tutorial for you which is going to be my entry into the Graphic 45 Brand Ambassador Call of 2024. Now I'm going to be making a travel album and I'm going to be using this beautiful paper called Tropical Travelogue. I've had this paper in my stash for a while and this just seems the perfect project for this paper. So without further ado, let's get down to the tutorial. So this project is done purely with cardstock. Now the cardstock I'm using is a 200 GSM here in the UK, but if you're in America it's roughly around an £80 weight cardstock. Now if you want to go a little bit heavier on your covers then please do so. You could probably go up to about a 300 GSM, which is again roughly a £110 weighted card, but I'm just going to use the same weight throughout. So there is a PDF, as I've said earlier, which will be in the description box down below. So for the covers, for part A, you need to cut at 9 1/4 by 8 1/4. And part B, which is also included in with the flap closure, is just your standard A4 size, and then we'll do the scoring. So I have my sheets here already cut out. So part A, I will write on here what they are. So part A and part B. So part A, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 2. And we're going to score along the shortest side of our cardstock. So we're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then again at 2, like so. And then your second sheet, your part B, we're going to score that at 7 1/4, and then again at 8 3/4. So what I've done here is I've created our spine that's going to be folded over, and this one here is the spine for the actual book. So with this one, so with part B, we're also going to add some little score lines inside to create sort of like a book spine where you can then you can curve the edge of it. Again, I'm just going to work on just 1/8 inch from that 7 1/4 inch mark, and we're just going to score all the way down to the score line that we've done already. So in between that spine that we've done, we're just going to add in that 1/8 inch score line, and I say that's going to help with the curvature of this book. Now we're only going to do it on this one side because I need the book to be flat on the other spine. This is mainly just a closure. I'm just checking, I've got one more to do. So we're just scoring up to that last line. So in between the 7 1/4 and your 8 3/4 mark, we're just going to make them score lines. Okay, you can just about see it there. And then when we come to attach it, I will curve this round. I'm not going to curve it just yet. I'm going to leave it as is for the moment. Okay, coming down now to the left side of our book, and I'm going to call this side A. So for side A, we're going to do a pocket at 6 1/2 by 8 1/4. So you just need to cut one side, and then you're going to name this pocket, and I just always write the measurements on so that I can tell for when I come to pattern piece as well. But this is also going to be scored at 1/2 inch on the two short sides, so I just write them on just for my own information really. We are now going to do the flap, and that is 8 1/2 by 7 1/8. So 8 1/2 by 7 1/8. Now I will do the score lines on these a little bit later. So I'm just going to write on here, this is the flap, and it is 8 1/2 by 7 1/4, and there will be a score line at the top there. So I'll stick that over here so that I know where it is. So the next we're going to do a pocket belly band, and this measurement is 8 1/8 by 5 1/2. So I'll do the 1/8 first, like so, and then the 5 1/2. And I'm just going to put pocket belly band, and it is 5 1/2 by 8 1/8, and this also will have score lines 1/2 inch on either side, and I'm just going to write side A on that one because there is a side B, and that's also got a pocket belly band as well. So for the back of the pocket belly band, you're going to cut these measurements. So it's going to be 7 inches by 6 inches, like so. And along this 6 inches, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, like so. So the next one we need is the pocket flap, and that's going to be 3 by 7 1/8. So you can use some of your offcuts. So 3 by 7 1/8. Now you can make this bigger, and depending on how deep you want your pocket, the flap over your pocket to be. So while we've got our trimmer here, we're going to just go ahead and do the score lines for those parts that we've done. So I'm just going to grab them all so that we know what we've got. Here we go. So as I've got my pocket flap here, I'm going to score along the long side of our measurement, and we're just going to score this at 1/2 inch. Unless I state anywhere, I normally always score at 1/2 inch for our glue tab, unless I say. So the next one, we're going to score along the short edge, and that's going to be 1/2 inch on either side. So that's 1 and 2. Like so. So that's our score lines for our belly band pocket. So that can be put in a pile. And the next one is the flap. Now the flap is also going to be scored along that short edge, and again at 1/2 inch, like so. And then we've got our pocket. Now we do have to have a few little things that are going on with this pocket because we're going to give it an angle, but we'll do that when we come to assemble. So I'm going to do my score lines again along that short edge, and that's again at 1/2 inch. Turn it around and score the other short edge. Okay, so that's then the pocket. So the middle part of our folio is we're going to consist of a few different little elements. So to start with, we're going to do the page hinge. Now when I say page hinge, it's a whole page with a hinge attached. And the measurements for the page hinge is going to be 7 7/8 by 7 3/4. And then do the 7 3/4. And then I'm just going to write on there page hinge middle, and it's 7 7/8 by 7 3/4, just so that we know. So I'm going to put that in my pile. So now we're on to the actual hinges for our pockets. Now I'm just grabbing some scrap cardstock so that we can use that up instead of getting another sheet out. So I'm going to cut my 7 3/4 first. Now I'm going to do a little something different here, because what I'm going to do is do the score lines for these. So we're going to score along the long side at 1/4 inch. I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to score at 1/4 inch first. And then I'm going to cut at 3/4. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to score at 1/4 and then cut at 3/4. 2. And again, doing it this way just means I've got more cardstock to hold on to and to keep nice and straight than if I had to cut them all separately and then score them last. I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier for us to do. So that's 3, and I've got one more, and I think this one might be, no it does, it fits. So again, just score this at 1/4 inch and then cut at 3/4. Like so. And that then is the 4 hinges that we need. So now we're going to do the page pockets. So we need to cut 4 pages for this. Now you can use your scraps that you've already cut off, but just for demonstration purposes I'm going to use some sheets of my cardstock. So we're going to do the pages as is. So I'm going to cut this one down to 7 3/4, and the next one I'm going to cut down to 8 3/4. And this is what I'm going to show you how. So for page 1, part A, this needs to be 7 3/4. So I'm going to come this way and cut it this way. So this is now going to be page 1, and we're going to cut it down to 2 inches. Okay, so that's page 1. Page 1 or pocket 1, part A, and it's 7 3/4 by 2. Okay, so that's 1. And we'll put that over there. So to do the part B, we're going to cut another page, and this needs to be cut at 8 3/4, like so. And we're going to cut this part B down again to 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to write on here part B, 8 3/4 by 2, and it is pocket or page 1. So this is your part A and part B, page or pocket 1. So we now need to do the score lines on these. So bringing in your page. So on the 7/8 side of your page hinge, we need to make these score lines. So we're going to score this at 3/4 straight away, like so. And then we're going to score it 4 times at 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to bring that round and then come down this way. So we need to score it at 1, at 1 1/4, at 1 1/2, and at 1 3/4. So there are our score lines. Now we've scored these because what is going to happen is those little hinges that we've actually made are perfectly sized to fit within those channels. They are just there as a guide. So moving on to your little pocket pages, or pocket hinges, we'll call them pocket hinges. We need to score them on the short side at 1/2 inch. Now this is the 8 3/4 length one, so this is your part B, and this is at 1/2 inch on both of the short sides. So come and do the part B for page 2, and again it's just that short edge at 1/2 inch, and you're going to do that for all parts B that you've already done. Okay, once you've done that, what we need to do is on the part A, we just need to take off a little smidge off each of those part A's for the pocket. And I mean, it's just a smidge. All it is to help our pages sit more flatter than what they would do if you didn't take that off. Now the reason I don't take that measurement off first of all is because some people like to have their glue tabs on the inside of your pocket. I like to have my glue tabs on the outside of my pocket. The reason being is that if you have them on the inside, they've got a tendency to catch anything that you put in and out of your pockets. So that's why I just take that little smidgy bit off before I put them together. So let's move on to side B, which is the right hand side of our folio, and we're going to cut these measurements. So we need to cut the belly band pocket and that's going to be cut at 5.5 by 8.25. So my paper is already 8.5, so I'm going to just cut it at 5.5, like so. And again, just right on there, belly band pocket. Then we'll know what it is, BBP. And this is at 8.25 by 5.5. Now this will have some score lines on the short sides, but we'll do that again as always at the end. So using the other part of that A4 sheet, you're going to cut the belly band pocket flap, and that's cut at 4.25 by 7.25. So 4.25 by 7.25. So, and again, this will have belly band flap 7.25 by 4.25. That will have some score lines on as well. So next we move on to the page flaps, and there's a top and bottom of these, and they are going to measure 7.1/8 by 3.25. Now you're going to need obviously two of these, so 3.25 by 7.1/8. And again 3.25 by 7.1/8. So that is really all we've got for that side B. So to go ahead with the score lines, and I need to just write on here what they are. So we're going to score along that long edge at 1/2 inch. That's our top flap, and then the bottom flap, which I didn't write on again. So that's the bottom flap, and then we've got the belly band flap. Now the belly band flap again along that long edge at 1/2 inch, and the pocket, the belly band pocket. Now we're going to score along the short sides at 1/2 inch, and again at 1/2 inch on the opposite side. So that's all our score lines done. Now the only other thing that I've got for this project is some little notebooks. Now these came off of Amazon, and they're just plain notebooks with a craft card cover. Now you can cover these with the black to match, but I'm going to leave it like that, and I may just cover around the outside edges so that when we come to put our book in, I'm going to have these as signatures. Now what I may do is decorate the inside of these as well, and I'll maybe stick 2 pages together so they become a bit more rigid, and then have like some little books inside my folio as well. So there's 2 of those, and enough then to do some writing in and things like that. So grab yourself some notebooks. These ones measure just over 6 inches by 3 3/8. Let's start with the assembly of the covers. That way we can then add to it as we go. So grabbing your glue or your double-sided tape, whichever you prefer. So I've got my part A. I'm just going to fold my score lines over like so, and then grab yourself your bone folder just to really sharpen those creases. So there's my score lines. In between there, we're going to fold and crease the line that is the very last one from the one that's facing away from you. So we're going to fold that over. Don't worry if any of the others fold with it, but I just wanted it so that we've got a nice fresh crisp score line, and I'm just folding it that way because the reason it's just not folded how I wanted it to. There we go. I've just made that memory work in there. So then fold. The next one to fold is the score line that is nearest to you. Okay, we're just going to fold that one over as well. Okay, keep them in line and then fold that down and make them crisp. Don't worry about folding any of the other ones inside, because they will, as we go through, it will sort of get into a memory, and it will start to get that curvature to it. So let me just bring you back up again so that we can see what we're doing. So once you've done that, we're going to get our two pieces and we're going to put them together. So just going to check to make sure that I've got them exactly how I want them, and we have. So this is how your album will sit. So you've got your glue tab here, your spine, then you've got your front part, and then this is attached to our back, and then this is the back, your handle or your top flat closure, and then this is your closure here. Now we can add lots of things to keep this closed, from magnets to metal embellishments and things like that. So to put this together, we're going to attach the glue tab to the back of part B. So we're going to glue the glue tab on the valley fold side. Now I glue rather than double-sided tape, but you can do both. If you're new to album making and you've got some double-sided tape, I would suggest using a bit of glue on the double-sided tape, because that way you're going to get a bit of wiggle time, because we will make mistakes. So I'm just going to bring that up and just tap it up so that I can get my top and my bottom part of the album level, and then I'm going to just push this up. So I'm going to push with my hand here into that folded line where the glue tab meets. So if I bring you down just a tiny bit so that you can see just what I'm doing here. So there we go. So that's the line. So I'm going to push this bit over and let it just do its work. So I'm just very gently just bringing that over. Now I'm doing it gently and slowly because I don't want my paper to buckle, and doing it that way you get a nice smooth finish. So keep doing that until your glue has stuck. So that then is your front and back covers. Okay, getting your elements for your side A, we're going to work on the pocket. So with the pocket we're going to angle it. So you need to cut your pattern paper before we angle it. So you'll need to cut it at 7 1/8 by 6 inches. Now I know that's like ½ an inch smaller, but trust me, just bear with me and you'll understand why in a moment. So okay, I've cut my paper. I will just ink the edges around. So you've inked your edges. Now what you need to do is you need to position your paper so that that 1/8 of an inch gap is all the way around. And then grab your low tack tape. Because this is the side we're going to keep. We're going to cut down here. Now how I do it, I'm going to just open them out and I'm going to work out how far I want my pocket or my angle to be. Now I'm going to go with a pocket that is 4.5 deep, like so, and then I'm going to go with this side to be 2 inches, okay, like so. Lining the two measurements up, cut down. Okay, hold your ruler down really firm and push your knife into that side of your ruler. So that's my line. And take your tape off, be very careful. And then when you then come to move this down, you will still have that nice gap all the way around, like so. So you've got a nice even gap. Now if you haven't, like I seem to have it slightly smaller at the bottom here, just take this bottom bit off. I may not have done it correctly, but that all lined it up properly, but you can just, as I say, take a little bit off. It's easier to take some off than it is to put some back on. So then that's given me that nice layered look all the way around. So add your glue and we can just add that on like so. There we are. So then that's a nice quick and easy way to do a angled pocket. Oops, 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 oops. Right, before we go any further, I need to just pull this off before it sticks, because what I have forgotten to tell you is I like to round my corners. Now I'm using a 3/8 of an inch corner rounder today. So I'm going to round just my bottom corner there, nowhere else, and I'm going to round the corners of my outside covers as well. Now if you're using your grey board, you will be able to use, if you're using a crocodile, you will be able to round those corners with that. So remember to round everyone, so your cardstock and your pattern paper. I always forget, I need to put a little post-it note up. So just add that on there. And there's another thing that I do need to just sort out, but we'll do that in just 2 ticks. So making sure we've got that nice and lovely border all the way round again. And I think we have, apart from this side. It was such a shame because I had that perfect. There we are. There we go. I'll put it on there, then we can see that border all the way round. There we go. Nice and neatly. And then we can fit this into the corner and then it doesn't look out of place. Now the other thing that I was going to say or do is when we've cut our angle, we have got this sticky out triangle piece there. That's just come off of the glue tab. So I'm just going to chop that off so that it's hidden underneath and then you can't see it. So let's go ahead and put this on like so. Now I'm just checking that I'm all in line, and I again just add the glue to that mountainside fold. Again, I put quite a bit on because this will take quite a lot of wear and tear where it is being, you're in and out with pockets and tags and things like that. Now I'm lining it up to this edge here. So I've got your scored edge here is lined up with the scored edge of your tab, sorry, of your hinge here. Okay, pushing it down. Now, one thing I did forget to do, which I should do, I'm forgetting everything today at the minute, Tamara, is we need to close this pocket off. Would be a good idea, wouldn't it? So, I'm going to use some double-sided tape for that. Now, this will help your pocket become more firm, and we'll be able to then keep things in the pocket without them falling out, or a use of a belly band or some other contraption that we need. So just get it in place and then we can pop that back down like so. Just check that that is brilliant. So then that's the pocket, and then we've then got a nice pocket there to be able to put in a tag or something like that. I'm going to do a few of those lovely tags that Graphic 45 do, the long ones. I've got some of those here. So push them down. Okay, so that then is all we need to do to the base part. So moving on to our flap. Now you can do this one or two ways. I'm going to round all four corners of these. Even though this side is not rounded, I'm going to do that on this because I think it would look a lot nicer. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is then going to fit on like so. Now I have got a little bit of a gap down here, but that is intentional. Okay, make sure that you're nice and lined up. Now you will have a little bit of a gap either around it, because that is to make the allowance for this scored line here and your fold. So we can put this to the side for a moment and work on your flap. So you've got your side A flap, belly band pocket flap, and we are going to just burnish those score lines down like so, just to make them more sharper, like that. And I'll bring in the pocket flap as well while I've got my tool here. So you'll need to cut another piece out that measures 6 inches by 7 inches. Along the long edge you need to score a 1/2 inch glue tab. Okay, now we're going to put our back piece on so that it fits inside those glue tabs. So the glue tabs are going to go on the outside. The glue tab at the bottom is actually going to fit onto the belly band pocket. So it's going to go like this. So we're going to put our glue tab for the bottom that's on this extra piece, is going to go on the mounting fold side, and that's going to fit onto our pocket like so. I'm going to get that down, get it into place, and then just burnish that down just so that you've got that correct. There we are. Okay, make sure you've not got any sticking up, like so. And then you're going to glue your glue tabs on the valley fold side of your pocket, and they are going to fit to the back of your extra piece that we've just put in, and the same with this side, like so. And so you've created yourself an actual pocket. We will put then our flap on, and again this one is just going to fit onto the back part of that element. So I'm just going to cut I need to cut some miters out of that pocket so that it fits in, and this is going to fit to the back of that new element that we've put in. So this goes on the mountainside fold. That's going to fit in like that, and just burnish that down when you're happy, and then that is your pocket. And then that is an actual pocket then, where it is closed in at the bottom. I'm just going to add my glue onto the glue tabs that are there, and I'm just putting it on the glue tabs. Then we're going to bring it in like so. Oop, stick it up the right way, and then this is just going to fit onto that page like so. Yeah, bring it down, and then that is a pocket but a belly band as well. Just moving that over. So I'm actually going to do that same design on my back piece here as well. Now what I have forgotten to do is just round those two corners of the flap like so. Now I will just go around with my scissors just to trim off that excess part there. So that then is the belly band flap, and that goes onto our side A. It's going to fit on like this. Now I'm not going to fit this bit in, because now what I want to do is just work on this hinge part here. We're going to match up the 3/4 score line with the edge of your spine on the right hand side. That then is going to give you a really nice 1/4 inch gap between your back page and your spine, like so. Next we're just going to do our measurements. So it's a 1/8 of an inch gap at the bottom and 1/8 of an inch gap at the top. That's going to allow our page hinge to sit snugly in the middle of our book. You then need to do a measurement, measuring from the right hand side of the spine into the center at 3/4 of an inch. That's going to be able to allow us to put that 3/4 of an inch glue tab onto our spine. Now just marry up your page hinge with the pencil marks that you have on your spine. Then fold over that 3/4 of an inch glue tab that we have on the page hinge and just burnish that down really well. Now you're going to marry the edge, the left hand edge, with the 3/4 inch mark that you have on your spine. That's going to give you a really lovely 1/4 inch gap between the page and the back of your book. We're going to add the glue to that 3/4 inch glue tab. And then we're going to marry it up with those lines that we've drawn, like so. And make sure that you're nice and straight here, because your line might not be straight that you've drawn, but so just double check that you are straight at the top and the bottom there, like that. And then when you're happy, really burnish that down. So that's then that bit put in. So the next one we've got to do now, we'll only do one, and you can do the rest at your leisure. We'll do page 1, and that is fold the 2 score lines at the end to create that. Let me move that out of the way so you can see. And then bring this one in. Now, because we've cut off that 1/8 of an inch smidge, my pocket will fit perfectly in there. So I'm going to put my glue on just one side at the moment, tap it down, make sure it's nice and level, and then bring that tab over, burnish, and do the same with the other side, and then bring that over as well, like so. And then that creates your pocket. So go ahead and do that with all or the remaining 3. Okay, so for our page hinge, we've got our small hinges. Now what I've done, I've gone ahead and done with these is I have angled or mitered the corners. Now the corners are only mitered on the 1/2 inch tab, not the 1/4 inch. The 1/4 inch is the same. So what's going to happen is the 1/4 inch is going to fit in our little channels that we've done, and we're just going to put them on with some glue, and they're going to fit just so. So having those score lines are really handy, just so that you can gauge where they go and to get them straight as well. Now you may just go over the line of that 1/4 inch, but don't worry, they're not there for any reason apart from giving you a guide to work to. So once you're happy, just make sure that they're butted right up to them, as tight they can go, and then that's your page hinge. Okay, we're going to start with the biggest page first, and that is page 4. And we're going to add our glue. Now the glue needs to go on both sides of the hinge at the very top. The top of the hinge as you can get it. Making sure that that happens will minimise any glue spillage that may seep from underneath the hinge. So what I've done here is I've also added a line of glue just to the inside edge of that pocket, just so that you've got glue on glue, and sticking it into the book. Once you're happy, make sure that it is lined up with your page at the bottom and with the page at the top. That way it will look really unified and much more neater if you do it that way. So just keep giving it a burnish as you're going through, and that way you'll get a really nice stick. So carry on and do the rest of the pages, and I will meet you back here in a moment. So that's then all the pages are in. So then when you fold this over, it flaps closed. So this then is it's like a page underneath, so it's your bottom page really. So bring in the last part of this folio, and that is the side B element that we have already cut out. Now you will also have an extra element to this, one that I haven't got on the screen because I changed it midway through, but if you watch the next part of the video, it will show you how to put the belly band pocket together. So you'll need to cut another piece out that measures 6 inches by 7 inches. Along the long edge, you need to score a 1/2 inch glue tab. Okay, now we're going to put our back piece on so that it fits inside those glue tabs. So the glue tabs are going to go on the outside. The glue tab at the bottom is actually going to fit onto the belly band pocket. So it's going to go like this. So we're going to put our glue tab for the bottom that's on this extra piece is going to go on the mounting fold side, and that's going to fit onto our pocket like so. I'm going to get that down, get it into place, and then just burnish that down just so that you've got that correct. There we are. Okay, make sure you've not got any sticking up like so, and then you're going to glue your glue tabs on the valley fold side of your pocket, and they are going to fit to the back of your extra piece that we've just put in, and the same with this side like so. And so you've created yourself an actual pocket. We will put then our flap on, and again this one is just going to fit onto the back part of that element. So I'm just going to cut I need to cut some miters out of that pocket so that it fits in, and this is going to fit to the back of that new element that we've put in. So this goes on the mountain side fold. That's going to fit in like that, and just burnish that down when you're happy, and then that is your pocket. And then that is an actual pocket then, where it is closed in at the bottom. I'm just going to add my glue onto the glue tabs that are there, and I'm just putting it on the glue tabs. I think I've got it now. So this is going to fit onto your page like so, as near to those scored lines as possible, not overlapping them. So then we've got to add our top and bottom flaps, and they are going to go on here like so. And again, you can round them corners, and it's just those bottom 2 corners at the moment. And instead of going over the page, I'm actually going to keep it in line. I'm just trying to think what I did. I haven't actually stuck that on. So I'm going to keep it in line with my hinges here, so that you've got this 1/4 inch gap all the way around the top. I think that would look rather stunning. So that's it. Bring it over. Now it's just about 1/8 of an inch smaller than your actual pocket, but again that was intentional. Like so. And then we will pattern piece inside there, and we'll need to give ourselves to make this into a closure of some sort. So rounding them, and then this is going to go on the bottom like so, and saying that this is going to then stop anything falling out of the bottom. Just move you up a bit, there we go. So push you in and make sure that they're lined up. Get down just a tiny bit, a little bit more, like so. And then that then is your pocket and your flap. And we'll put some pattern paper on the bottom there, and we'll close that like so, and then we can open, pocket, and then open that as well. And then we've got the same over here when we put the flap over that bit. Now the only thing I'm going to do here is just round those corners of that page like so. So all we've got left now to do is just a few more things. We need to finish rounding all our corners, because there are a few corners I've noticed here that I haven't rounded. And we need to add the flap with the pocket belly band onto the front of the album here. So I'm just sizing it up, just making sure that I've got everything in the right place. I'm going to put the glue tab on the inside of that pocket so that it's not showing on the front cover. So I'm just adding my glue. I've got quite a lot on there, but just getting it into place. And once it starts to stick, I'll just move it just slightly up a little bit, just so that I get it level everywhere, and then I'll give it a good burnish down. But the only other thing we've got to add is now our little books that are going to go on here. Now you can add one, or you can add two. I think actually I'm just going to add one, because I want to use up some of the scraps of my pattern paper. So I'm going to just measure where the centre is of my book, and then I need then the centre of my page. So I'm going to place my book like so. Just put a pencil mark where the book ends, and then I'm going to come up 1/4 of an inch above that there, and then 1/4 of an inch below that line, and just there, and then that is where I'm going to add my holes, just like that. Now I am going to do just the small holes at the moment, and then if I get it in the right place, I'll add the bigger ones. So I've got it half and half, so I'm going to do the same on this one. Hopefully I've got them in the same place. Oops, sorry about that. Next on our list of things we need to do is we need to make our pull-outs for our hinge pockets here. The other thing that we need to do is a little spine cover, which is going to go on the inside, and it's just to cover my workings out here to make this look a little bit more neater. So we're going to cut one of those as well. So we'll do the belly band and this first, and then we'll go on and do the policy holders. So let's do our belly band now. So the belly band is going to measure 2 inches. Now I'm just using a bit of scrap card, so 2 inches by 7 1/4. And then we're going to score it at 1/2 inch, and then again at 3/4 of an inch, and then you create a lovely 1/4 inch gusset. Now round your edges. Do it now while you think of it. 1, 2. Okay, now I'm just rounding the 2 bottom corners. Then I'm just going to use the offcut of paper here, and I'm going to cut this at 1/8, sorry, at 7 1/8 by 6 3/8, like so. Now we are going to use this part because this part is going to go on the back. Now it doesn't matter that you've got a little bit showing of the black here, because once we put our score lines on, it's going to look okay. And then these are going to go onto our back. So this is going to be the back. So I'm not going to round the corners of this one because it's not right down to the bottom, because this is going to be the back. Now I have to put the back and the front off, because when we come to score it, we'll never get them in the same place if we were to score them separately. So that's my back, and then my front, I will round the bottom 2 corners like so, and again just re-ink that corner and that corner there, and then we can add this to the front. And then this is going to go on like so. Bring it round. You've got that nice 1/8 of an inch gap. So for the next part, I am going to use my score board. Now for this, we are going to mark or score right up to the top here at 1/4 inch in 1/4 inch increments. So I'm going to start with 1/4 inch, and then 1, 1 1/4, 1. That's more like it. I'm not going to say. So there. So that is all of them scored. Now I'm just going to run it around my fingers so that you can get that curve going. You see, I've got that bit of a curve like so, and then we can fit that on. So let's move this out of the way. Bring in our book, and I'm going to put the glue on the glue tab on the valley fold side. Remember to try and get all of that page in. So I will lift these out of the way, and we can just go ahead, and we're going to line it up with the page and with our score lines on the edge here. When you're happy, push it down. Now I've got a gap here where I've got my 2 flaps, so I've just lined this up in between those gaps. Okay, we can add this on, because this can go on now, because we've then added our holes anyway. We can put this on. Now this is going to give us a lot more stability, and it's going to reinforce the holes as well. So I'm going to stick this down, and then we'll cut the holes out from the back. So again, just by eyeing it, there we go. And again, it will just help to make that look a more cohesive part of the book, and it just tidies then everything up. Okay, and then when we paper this, because we will paper this as well, so just poke through like so, and then poke through this side, and then what we can do is just then use our bigger hole punch and get that as far down as you can. There we go, punch out. That's one, and then two. There we go, and that's two. So that's then our holes punched out, so that we can then add our booklet on there. So for the policy holders, these next instructions are going to be the same for all 4 policy holders. The only difference is each policy holder is a 1/8 of an inch bigger than the last one. So first things first is we're going to do our score lines on each individual paper. So we need to add a 1/2 inch score line on one short side, and I'm just going to do a little mark down here with my pencil, just so that I know that that's where I need to place my next cardstock. So that's one. I'm going to take that out and do the next one, and again line it up with your pencil mark down here, and then score. So that's your 2. Now we're going to turn them around so that we've ended up with a score line in the middle and a score line on the end, okay, because that's what we're going to use as our guide. So the next thing is we're going to add 1 inch score line along the bottom. Again, mark your board, your page, just on your trimmer at 1 inches. Just checking that's 1, and score down. Take that one out, and then do the next one at 1 inch. Line it up with your score line down here, and then score at 1 inch. Now I'm going to turn this one over. No, I'm not, sorry. I'm going to keep it this way, but I am going to score the opposite side at 2 inches. Okay, now I've already got a little mark there, so I'm going to use that little mark as my guide. And then 2 inches on this one, like so. So now we can put them together. Now take that out of the way. So remember, we've got a score line that goes in the middle and 1 score line on the outer edge. So we're going to glue the one in the middle, like so. And then use the score lines as your guides, and then burnish that down. Once you're happy, what we're going to do, the score line that you've got on the edge here, don't cut that off. Keep that at the bottom. And we're going to just cut this down to 15.5, like so. Keep this, again, you can use them later. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this piece at, no I'm not, sorry, I'm going to turn that round, and I'm going to score with our join on the right hand side of our trimmer. We are then going to score at 7.5. Then fold it in half. Now the glue tab can either go inside your folder like so, or on the outside. Now because I've got a join here, I'm actually going to put my my glue tab on the inside of this one rather than the outside. Again, it's up to you, it's personal preference. If you're going to have it on the inside, you will need to take off a smidge off the edge of that card. But before we do that, we need to work out what way you want your card to be. So if you want the score line or the the join to be on your right hand side, you will need to fold it so that your score line, your outer score line here, is on the right hand side. Okay, like so. Now just as well, what I'm going to do is just burnish these down just to make these a little bit more crisper, like so. So then that's our score line. But first I'm going to just I'm going to cut up that scored line to the center scored line. I'm going to cut it up to this 1 inch mark there, and then come down and cut down to that 2 inch score line like so. Okay, so that makes that into 2. Next we need to cut off one of the 2 inch pieces of our policy holder. Now I'm cutting the one off that hasn't got the glue tab on. So I'm going to cut it just with my scissors because it won't fit into my trimmer. But if you are maybe not as good at cutting, you could maybe use a pencil and a ruler to draw a straight line. I've just done this for quickness. Now as you can see, I still need to take off just a tiny bit so that my flap at the back will sit nice and smoothly over the top and not bulk over with the cardstock. So I'm just cutting off the barest of bare. I always cut off the smallest bit first and then work my way up. That way you know that you're going to get a really nice cut. So next I'm just cutting off that rectangle that is the part of the flap, and I'm just cutting up the top there as smoothly as I can. Then I'm coming along, and on that same side that we cut off the 2 inch flap, I'm also cutting the bottom part, which is the 1 inch flap, off as well, so that can be folded up. Now again, if it is bulking over a little bit, you can just trim off a little bit more. And then what I've done now is on that glue tab, I've just angled that bottom corner just slightly, and I'll do the same with the top. That's going to help it not to interfere as you close your book. So I'm going to round the corners on that glue tab. Again, you don't have to, because this is going to sit underneath. I don't know why I put it on the top. That's better tomorrow. So then the bottom flap and the top flap, I will also round those corners there. But then that is the policy holder. Now you just make the second and third and fourth policy holder exactly the same, so you may need to just rewind this video to that part so that you will be able to do those policy holders as well. Now the only difference is they are a 1/8 of an inch bigger, but the measurements are in the free PDF, which is in the description box down below. So if you want to do the policy holders and you want those measurements, then please have a look there. That's where they are. Let's round the corners like so. And then that is that done. Now, alternate things that you can do with your pocket pages. You can have, as we've said, the 4 policy holders, but if you don't want 4 of them, you can put 2 booklets in. Now, I've put 2 booklets in as my page 2 and page 3, and these measure exactly the same. So I'm going to give you the measurements. I won't actually show you how to do these because it's easy. So the measurements are 10 inches by 7.5, and then you score at 5 inches on the longest measurement. And then what I've done is I've just rounded my corners. So they then go in like so. Now we have got a lot of finishing bits to do with this album and things like that, but we can't actually finish it until we start to pattern piece. So I'm going to leave this video as it is, and then I will have a part 2, which will be the decorating stage. So please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. It really does help my channel grow. It really does, and I appreciate each and every one of you that subscribes. Don't forget to go and check out the Graphic 45 Facebook page and Instagram page. There's lots of inspiration on their social medias with Graphic 45. The community is just the best. It's brilliant. So please don't forget to go and check them out. And also please don't forget to go over to any of those social medias and like my post of this project. It really will help my entry into their brand ambassador call. So whatever you're doing and wherever you are in the world, I hope you have the most amazing day, and I will see you again in part 2. Bye!